Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another episode on the replay. Hey, man, check this out. We got a lot of things to unpack from this action-packed weekend. Y'all seen all these great games, but check it out. We're going to start right over here to my right. We're going to DA. I said no Magic. I said no Magic Johnson. Look this way and then come back this way because we got to talk about it, man. Colorado Buffaloes went to Eugene, Oregon. And they got cracked on, man. Yeah. The Ducks cracked all over them Buffaloes, DA. Yeah. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. We picked them.
It disappointed me that all three of y'all picked Colorado. It got me thinking I might need to be on another show. Because, come on, man. We know we want Dion to win. We want the brother to do well. But, man, Oregon, those are real programs. Been around a while. I knew they was gonna mash on Colorado. That's why I picked them. I'm like, nah, man, Dion and them ain't ready. They hype. They playing some mediocre schools, but they ain't ready for them big boys. They will be, but this next 3 or 4 games, you see.
But did you know the score was gonna be that lopsided?
No, that surprised me. I thought they would score
42-6.
Yeah, nobody.
42-6. 42-6. What you think, Book? I mean.
Well, I picked Colorado because I said I was.
Yeah, you picked with your heart.
I picked with my heart. But I really knew that they didn't have probably enough to beat them, especially with them losing Travis Hunter, him not being there. It's just the trenches game, man.
Right. The trenches, right.
It's the trenches. He got the skill position. He got the good quarterback. He got the skilled players, man. But you win football in the trenches, and that's where he's weak at right now in the trenches.
Right, absolutely. I definitely concur with you on that. I got my man TJ. What's happening, brother?
What's up,
y'all been sitting so close to my left, man. I can reach over like that, man. 'Cause I know you're gonna have something to say about this game this past weekend.
Hey, we did all pick with our heart.
Yeah, we all did.
We did. We picked with our heart, but we knew because we knew about the line. So
that's right.
We knew on both sides of the line they were weak because that's why Nebraska was playing them so well earlier. But Nebraska is weak because they turned the ball over a lot, right? So in this game, playmakers made the difference, and they didn't have their playmaker, Travis Hunter. And so that's the only way they can actually even compete when you come at a higher level. When you're trenches, you got to have plays. You got to make plays, and you got to score. And they couldn't even move the ball because they didn't have enough playmakers. Right. So they washed them out, and there's nothing. We won't even get to the next game. We'll get to that later. But not only that, Oregon was motivated. So
The coach did an excellent pre-game speech without question.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, he said I want you to go ahead and finish your point, but he definitely had a great pre-game speech that he gave to those kids. He said, man, we're not in the clickbase, we're in the wins.
That's right.
What's funny about it? Everybody got this extra venom. What I also heard, was that teams are giving information to Colorado's opponents, right? They're giving a little extra information to them so actually they can game plan. But they didn't need that much. When your lines are
weak. Give
me
an example of that.
Yeah. So great question. What happened is that they'll give their tendencies of what they're running. So I don't really think you needed much help from anybody else. It's pretty simple to see watching the film because they throw underneath,
right,
and then they kind of throw in layers. They got guys always run a short route and then they run a layer over top, right? So they run a mid-range here and they run a streak down this way. The combinations are usually that way, and so they have a lot of combinations. Sometimes they have 2 guys doing short, so they don't always have somebody releasing and pressuring the deep ball. So they give us a chance if you read it right and what coverages they in. When they're in a certain coverage. See, that's what the difference. What coverages, what formation they're in is when they're running those particular routes, right? Their route tree. So if you know those things and they don't change those up enough, right, then you can actually move your whole defensive backfield and your linebackers up to pressure, and then you get them in the backfield. And then they was blitzing them, and they didn't even have to blitz them because they was just running through those guys. But they was blitzing them too. They were putting 5 on them and running straight up field. They didn't have enough time to do anything but throw those routes, and you could jump them too. Luckily, Shador didn't throw them in interceptions, because he could have thrown a whole lot of interceptions with them jumping up like that. So that was a recipe of how to beat them until they shore up some things or get some more playmakers until Travis Hunter come back.
Right. Well, something about that game, some of the keys to the game, and I concur exactly what you was talking about, but some of the keys to that game, man, that is not, well, let me put it like this, is I would call it to expect the unexpected, so to speak. Because when you look at it on the surface, you can say, well, this kid didn't make that play or that kid didn't make this play. But what it basically comes down to is coaching. And this is the first time in 3 weeks, where it seemed to me like Dion them just got out coached. And here's the thing: one of the key things about that game, whenever you see that early lined up on I guess they was on the 20-yard line, and you go fake punt, on your, you see what I'm saying? On a fake punt, and you give that up, that's coaching. That's special teams coaching. Right. And another thing, man, I pointed this out, and I don't hear it coming out of the media. Perhaps he's, at least in the public, and maybe I guess he want to do it the right way by calling his coaching staff in. I'm quite sure he's talking about it behind the doors, but you still got to say what you're looking at when you're in front of the media. Yeah. Bottom line is, man, they're not holding the defensive coordinator accountable. Coach Kelly, Charles Kelly, the guy that was supposed to be from Alabama and all of this. This guy Colorado right now is giving up 33 points a game. Yeah. 33 points a game. They gave up 42 points against TCU in the opener, 14 points against Nebraska, and then they give up another 35 against Colorado State, and now you give up 42 hung on you. Yeah. So I don't know what scheme, and he's coaching the safeties at that. So what scheme are you really running? Because I'm seeing the young kid from Oregon, Troy Franklin. He's just running through the zones. Yeah. So where's Shiloh Sanders and these safeties and so forth? I get it that you had Travis Hunter out, but hey man, I got 10 other guys, man, that got to toe their weight. That's right. Travis Hunter is one player. That's right. So this is what I'm talking about when we talk about next man up. That's right. Next man up is next man up.
You got to be prepared.
Shedeur Sanders had another. I think he had another. Under the circumstances, of course, he was harassed and under duress the whole entire game. I think he had like 7 sacks, but he was still 23 of 33 for 159 yards, 0 interception, 1 touchdown. But those guys got to create separation. Reeve and all them boys, you got to give him an opportunity, man, to be able to make plays, and that's what he's good at, extending plays. Yeah. And that's something that they didn't do a well enough job of. And I just think that Dion them for the first time got out coached. And Coach Kelly, if you're listening, hey man, you have to put a little bit more time in, because right now 33 points to me is still a lot of points to give up. What you think, D.A.?
Yeah, man, that I was thinking that exact same thing before you said that. We got to pump the brakes on Dion. Dion is the motivator. He's gonna get them up for the game. Emotionally, mentally. Sometimes it may be a little too much pressure for the boys, but we got to think about this. Can his coaches coach?
Right.
I was thinking about that the whole game. Like, how do we know his coaches are doing a good job? Yeah.
Well, they're saying that he's supposed to have the best coaching staff in the entire country.
I don't agree with
that.
Who said that?
That could be. Well, hold on with that. But that can be argued. Argued.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
But when you think about, you got the Dennis Thurmans on there. Right? Remember Thurman Thieves back in the day, Dallas Cowboys? Yeah. You got the Kevin Mathis on there, played 10 years or so in the league. Mm-hmm. You have who else is on the staff?
Warren Sapp.
Warren Sapp is next year. He's consulting and stuff like that. T.O.
coming out there consulting, but I don't agree with too many of those type of hires.
Yeah, because a lot of those guys they played football.
They played and it don't always translate.
Digest and relate to the kids, man.
I don't agree with you having too many of those.
You got the defensive coordinator that actually will coordinate the thing, so he has to be really good. The other guys actually teach. Yeah. So he's the one of the scheme. So y'all talking about that part. That's the defensive coordinator responsibility. Right. The other guys to teach you how to do the little things and take advantage of situations. Okay. So Warren Sapp's going to do a good job at that part. Okay. So you're not really concerned with that on the guys doing that. But the total concept of it, if it's not coordinated well, right. Like if you run a concept and your secondary not running a technique, like I had a coach. He made the guy slide, and then backpedal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just do different things. Coaches be doing little funny stuff that you be like, okay, why are you doing this? So it's kind of, it just depends on what you're trying to run. Yeah.
Well, and these are the things when Dion is talking about these things, I know exactly what, and Tim and I, we can relate to it. What he's referring to is a lot of things that people don't see, who are just, aficionados. They're in the stand and just looking at, why he didn't stop? Exactly. It's because somebody didn't touch it and tell him to slide. That's right. Because you got to read your keys. So you get keys. Everybody got a key to read. Mm-hmm. Like Tim and I were discussing earlier, you can be in a cover 2 or a cover 1 could turn into a cover 2. It just depends on how the quarterback opens up. Exactly. So these are the things when Dion talks about, like the young kid Cromartie who's not in the film room. He finally went on and said it because everybody want to know, because he's a 5-star recruit. Right. He jumped in the transporter and he's not on the field. So Dion finally opened up and said because he's not in the film room enough. Right. He's not looking at it. I'm not about to put a kid out there that don't know where he's supposed to be. No, because that's what get coaches fired. But go ahead and complete what you were saying,
well,
Tim.
You're perfect because you're talking about a talent that actually don't know where to be, and you don't know where to be, you mess up everything. You leave those openings. All of a sudden, you see those gaps out of nowhere, right? Say a guy is actually on the line. We'll make it simple because the line usually look a little more simple. Say he's supposed to hit the gap over here, right? But he rushes up this way. Now y'all see the line blocked off, and the guy come running up the field straight, nobody touch, and you look at the linebacker. Well, ain't the linebacker fault. That lineman went the wrong way.
Right.
And so we'll get into that more because actually a team play that actually washed everything down. But those schemes matter. The line, how the line, because sometimes what you do, you ask the offensive line, your defensive line to actually run, angle left, right? So everybody angles left, coming this way. Now what happens is that you got to have a linebacker on the other side come around to actually fill up that gap because there's going to be a cutback gap that's left. But that linebacker ready to make that play. If he ain't there, that's a long run.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's all about the angles. And I tell people this all the time. It's just like if you're in a music group, look at the Temptations in the movie. Y'all remember the movie Temptations? That would jump to my mind when my mind worked like that. You remember when David Ruffin and all them, they went this way and Paul Wynn went this way. and he was under the influence. They said, hey, come on, man. We're going to have to get David get somebody to take your spot for the night. So it's kind of like that. When you in sync, man, you got to be lockstep. And everybody has to be on the same page, or you have blown coverages. You have missed assignments.
Has Sapp ever coached anywhere else?
No.
It's his first time coaching.
He's not going to be a good coach.
Well, I can't necessarily say
he's not going to be a good coach.
I can't necessarily, and I understand what you're saying for a
right now.
Okay, we're gonna archive this.
Archive.
We're gonna archive this. But I think it's sometimes, if he's fundamentally sound with the kids, it's the experience.
He's gonna be expecting way too much, and he's not going. That's why I asked, if he's coached before, then I know he'll probably know how to handle it. But he's not gonna know how to handle those kids.
I will never say what a man can do. That's what my deal is.
My opinion is he will not be a good coach.
I got you. But I will never say what a man can do because you don't know the man.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm saying because of how he is.
I got you. You got to know that man though. And I understand that because you can actually go in because there's a lot of background on what you're talking about. Because you said, hey, a lot of guys can't handle, like Magic Johnson said, he can't handle coaching guys that can't do what he can do.
Right.
Michael Jordan wanted to coach because he couldn't handle that. Well, this may be a different situation because actually football is a little bit different than basketball.
Why
when you
hasn't
think
he
about
coached
that.
Up until now?
Because he probably didn't want to. He wasn't motivated.
What are you talking about? On what level? Wait a minute. No. One of the reasons why.
That's another point I'm trying to make.
One of the reasons why.
He's been motivated to
well,
coach
you asked
up
the
until
question.
now?
You asked the question. One of the reasons why because he didn't have his degree. So he had to go back. Right now, he's finishing up at Miami to get his degree.
What you need
so
a degree for a coach?
Well, he got to have his degree.
You don't need a degree to coach Pee Wee League, junior high.
Well, that's part one.
I'm saying if you have a desire to coach, it usually shows before now. And now he's about to try to come in here.
Well, he's gonna try to do that. But I'm gonna say this before we have to leave this segment right here. I want to say, but the penalties cost them. I think they had like 12 penalties for like 106 yards. The coaching aspect of it. Didn't like the schematically, they didn't execute. And then that was pretty much probably about the gist of it. So I think they'll bounce back. I think when we get towards the end and have our picks for this week's games coming up, we'll talk about that again.
Can we pick the picks, like a score or something?
Okay. All right. Well, when we return on the replay, we're going to get into this next topic. We're going to talk about them Dallas Cowboys, y'all. Them Dallas Cowboys. Right on the replay. We'll be right back.
Hey, boss. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
I said I'm fine.
Since I was little, it was only like me and my parents.
You think you created family out of characters?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna take that, make it into a song.
Me the bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at on the way out? In my head, in my head, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Hey, and welcome back to the replay. So let's get into this thing, y'all. We're going to talk about America's team again. And I know somebody's it's bittersweet because he had this kind of like this ambivalent type feeling right now. I'm using the word ambivalent. Yeah, trying to get my Stephen A. Smith on. But but I know had a little mixed emotion because he picked this team to win last week. So we're going to talk about, what happened this past weekend as the Dallas Cowboys went into Arizona, man, and lost a shocker, really, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking 28 to 16. 28 to 16, man.
Yeah.
So
and you tried to talk me into
yeah, you know what I'm talking about there. I tried to get it.
Arizona.
Upset of the week.
Right.
And I owe Arizona. I owe you an apology because I thought I hadn't seen any.
You said it was the solidest team in the league,
and I thought they were the worst team, but. They're not. They actually look pretty decent.
I was telling you that.
When you don't see the games, you just assume, oh man, they let Giants come back. But they were pretty solid
might
team.
have some problems, huh?
Colin with Dobbs.
You don't think so?
No.
Man, I would not want.
Well, systems can always. We'll see that the jury's still out.
I mean, maybe we just made him look good.
I would rather play with the quarterback now than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean
I wouldn't. He's not a player's quarterback. He's not a team-oriented quarterback.
Don's the kind of guy who's gonna look good for a couple of games before you figure out how to scheme that particular situation that goes on, and then he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back to earth on that. So you just give him a little time.
Let me just say this. Real
I like the way he
quick
played
about the Cowboys. I said it, as it was happening. They looked like they were just out of sorts. It's like I didn't see fire, and I was telling Jabril earlier, like, I'm not a Cowboy fan. They were making me mad. They were pissing me off. I'm like, man, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all act like y'all don't want to play.
With each other.
And I'm saying that because I bet on them. And I'm like, I finally bet on y'all, and then y'all lay an egg. It's like they didn't. It's like they were just out of it, man. Like they didn't.
Let me get
something was missing.
Let me get my take on it. And I said this sitting there watching the game. Having played in blowouts, even we talked about the Colorado game a second ago. These two games really almost mirrored themselves in the sense of penalties, first of all. Right. We talked about Colorado having 12 penalties for 106 yards. Dallas had 13 penalties for 107 yards. You're talking about, we thought, well, maybe, they're going to attack the right side of the field with the right corner being over there, with Bland. Yeah. But it was the rush job that got us, right? Yeah. So when I looked at this whole thing and then the defense, how they performed, I said, you know what? They're out there feeling sorry for themselves. Because their level of intensity had dropped. You don't have a Trayvon, okay, one of your brothers is down. Okay, next man up. I'm quite sure y'all had to have a meeting about it. Let's pray for Trayvon. Just like Travis Hunter was out the game, right? That's why I say these games almost similar. They mirrored each other. Right. So now when I looked at them boys go out there and lay a goose head, blown coverages, where you supposed to show up at, and the jury's still out on Mozzie Smith. Because I need to put out an APB on Mozzie Smith. Because this guy only get 15 plays, right? And then if you look at it from the offensive side of the ball, your guy, Dak Prescott, we'll talk about him in just a second.
That's your guy.
You got the receivers had 7 targets. 7. Add them up, that's 21. If you're talking about Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. Yeah. Michael Gallup led them in receiving yard, 92 yards. Targeted 7 times, 6 receptions. Then you got CeeDee Lamb with only 53 yards. But none of them had a touchdown. And the biggest thing of the story, other than the rushing, is red zone points. We get down there and come away with no points.
No points.
So it's a lot, man, to be laid on. Even with the coaching staff, some of their play calling, and some of the execution. But man, I'm telling you, with Dak Prescott, I can't. It's like Michael Irvin. When I was listening to him talk, he was talking about, man, for the first time I had my foot up in there as if he ready to step off.
Yeah.
Because until you show me otherwise. I said this, and I'm going to say it again. I haven't played the game in 30-some-odd years. And nothing about this guy's game to me would tell me when I put my cleats on, I fear him. Aaron Rodgers, I fear. Patrick Mahomes, I fear. It's something about this guy, man. It just don't move the meter with me. So there's some other things, but I'm not going to take up this whole segment talking about it because there was a lot there, and I was so ticked off, man, how these guys went out there and performed defensively. We're talking about on the defensive side of the ball. But go ahead, Tim.
Two things I got. 2 things. One, I think Dak must have been sitting in y'all lap or something right around here. Because y'all told him only throw the ball just right there, right? And he been listening to y'all. I said right there. So I said he needs to take a shot down the field because they're gonna start playing him
Right there.
Exactly. So that's what they did. He had Gallup up the field on the left side. He should have let that ball go. That pass right there, that would have changed the whole game. Because now you move the guys back. And they can't cheat like they was doing. Them safety was cheating up. They was playing back, but they was ready to come up. They weren't even worried about it because he wouldn't let the ball go. On both sides, he needed to let that ball go, and he wouldn't throw the ball up them sidelines. I'm like, what is going on with you? Mentally, that's a problem. Then second part is that, hey, Arizona just put out the game plan, how to attack. But that's not new. You know, a lot of times when you got a person who rushed the ball well, you run the defense, you run angles at the defense. So you do the when you come down with the gap, you angle your offensive line to come straight at somebody like Parsons, right? Yeah. And so you wash it all down, and then you run the counters off of it if it's not open. So if they leave a gap here, you go ahead and run the ball in. If they don't, you run the ball back here, and then you block off, you curl block the backside over this way, and you leave that lane going on. And they kept doing it over and over again. And they never did stop that. And that's just ridiculous. Yeah. They should have coached that.
Book, you said what, Book?
I said that it was the culture because they never adjust to them blocking Michael Parsons. They took Michael Parsons out the game.
Yep.
He got that one sack. But if you go back and look at the game, they say, well, look, we're not going to let him beat us. So
right.
They if you block Michael Parsons,
right. You kind of neutralize. But listen. Okay, as far as on the coaching side of this thing, right? And I'm gonna say, guys, we might be in some trouble. We don't get this together. We could be in some trouble. And here's the reason why. Because they asked the question, who's the better team in NFC East right now? Not in NFC, but in NFC East. A lot of the polls said it was the Eagles, right? But look what happened. The Eagles, 2 assistants, the head coach Gannon, defensive coordinator for the Eagles, is the head coach for the Cardinals. The defensive coordinator, Riley, who's the linebackers coach for the Eagles, guess where he was at? Now he's the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. You see what I'm saying? So you got 2 individuals who was very familiar with Dallas's scheme, with their scheme. Then you have the offensive coordinator. This is what really being a former defensive player, man, really had me percolated. Here's a guy, been in the league, coached for 10 years, but he was as an assistant, was a quarterbacks coach for the Cleveland Browns, Coach Penzing, I think that's his name, Penzing. Quarterback coach last year for the Cleveland Browns, first year at the helm, offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. A first-year coach? So you mean to tell me Dan Quinn? Right. You mean to tell me Mike McCarthy? You mean to tell me you guys can't come up with something, man, to beat a first-year coach, offensive coordinator? That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me.
I think I would blame McCarthy more than
Dan Quinn?
Dan Quinn for this past weekend. And I mean, coaching-wise, the defense, the players just seemed like they didn't really want to play. The scheme on the offense was what was horrible to me. And I've been taking up for Dak for a long time.
Right.
Saying he just needs the right coordinator. But I'm just got to come to my senses and say, he ain't got it here.
That last pass,
he ain't got
that one interception,
and that guy was calling him trash.
Yeah, that
earlier.
that forced pass to Brandon.
But it's like at a certain point of the game, he's gonna just go into la la land or something. He ain't got that killer like, man, I'm gonna go down here. You know, he can do it.
So do you think it had anything to do with the you know, we was 3 down on the offensive line, and you got a center.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I thought about
because you know, a center plays a big key.
I think he's got mental issues. But
Biotis was definitely, being out, Tyron Smith, which I told you last week. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of this dude, man. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of this dude, Tyron Smith, man. I'm sick of this dude, man. He haven't played a complete 16, 17 game season since 2015.
But man, Dak could have gotten past all that. It was a couple times he could have run for a first down, touchdown.
Yeah.
And that last interception, I'm like, man, it's 3 Cardinals right there.
Hold on. It wasn't just that. He threw the ball towards the Cardinals. If he'd have looped the ball up over high to the end of the end zone.
Over 3? It's 3 dudes right there.
But they was up in the picture. No, they was in the end zone. They was up on the end zone like this. He need to loop it up the end of the end zone. That was that simple. Or not throw it at all. But hey, but that offensive line, I'm gonna tell you, it was 2 different things. It was energy, right? You guys all talking about the energy. The energy was flat for the whole entire team.
Yes.
And then the confidence was that because the game was close. So it was close for a long time. So Dallas was feeling like, hey, they gonna get this game. You can tell they confidence, that overconfidence you have, right? The cockiness we talk about. The cocky confidence, right? Right? You're arrogant. You really not there, because when it got down to it, they still couldn't bring it in. You try to get that energy late, but that's too late then. Yeah, too late. And then what happened is that the coach was worried about the offensive line, and he coached a conservative play calling, real conservative. When he was running them balls out, how many running about 5-6 times on the last drive, like he had all kind of time in the world.
I was like, why are they running so much? And they down 2 scores.
Exactly, that's ridiculous. That right there is totally coaching. So he talking about, I was kind of conservative, I was a little bit too conservative, and he was conservative on first down. First, he made himself predictable.
Say, man, I just look at it like this. This is gonna be real quick. Once you get to the NFL, I don't care who you are, second string. I'm not gonna coach down. I mean, it might not be the right thing to do, but I feel like if you get to the league, I need to be able to do what I want to do. Exactly. I can't just dummy down my whole offense because of, he's not in today, or he's not. But man, I still got to be like, look, Dak, we ain't got everybody today, man. You got to take over. You got to run. Right. I want you to go down.
What game? I know exactly what you're saying. What game can you win when the defense is having an off day, Dak? Right. Can you put your Superman cape on and take him to the promised land? Right. He really haven't shown that, man, consistently. Like I said, he win in September, October, with him, man. But come January, it's a whole nother story. But listen, man, we gotta transition right quick, man, because we had this other game that was a historical game. The historical game. These Miami Dolphins went in and drowned these Broncos, man. Or
should I say Heat? That was the
Broncos. But let's see. You talking about the final score being 70-20. The most points scored since 1966, and they had a total of 726 yards, the most since 1951. I'm trying to figure out
what happened? Did the defense show up?
I want to know, did the DeSoto Nitro get on the plane? Who was in these uniforms from the Denver Broncos? Because it couldn't have been a professional NFL team. Man. It couldn't have been come on, TJ, help me out, man. Who was that in the orange and the white?
Man. I don't even know what to say. I'm thinking, I'm wondering, even about Wilson, because if you got a bad defense, then your offense needs to run the ball and make some plays or do something, right? But Wilson ain't played since Sierra been there, so. Hey, I don't know what's wrong with it, but I'm just saying,
But say your boy, what's his name? Devon A-Chain. Hey, man.
He killed him.
They got speed to give, man. Yes, he had 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
Along with Monstrard, he had 4 touchdowns. And I think Tua, man, he hit on his first 17 passes in a row. Say, man, Miami Dolphins are for real. The Miami Dolphins are for real.
Injury, they're going to be pretty. I can't wait to see them play the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's gonna be real.
They got a good game coming up, but we'll talk about that later.
They thinking that the road to the Super Bowl will come through Miami, because they kept talking about what they're gonna do come cold season. Well, probably they don't have to do a thing if it's coming through Miami, because right now, man, the way they're playing on both sides of the ball, they're playing complimentary football. Yeah, and as they say, the Waddle, he didn't even play on Sunday. So imagine if this guy was out there. They got speed, man.
They do got a lot of speed.
They fast. They do.
And they got a quarterback with touch. He throws the ball. He throws a great deep ball. He throws a good. He just got great touch all over the field. He reminds me of a couple of quarterbacks. Even Breeze was a quarterback who had touch. He doesn't have a strong arm. He kind of like Breeze in that way, with a nice touch. Don't have a power arm. What I'm saying, they got a strong arm, but he's not a power arm. And so he has nice touch over the top. He can lay the ball in right in the spot we need. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who actually puts the ball perfectly in spots too. So, but he has a different type of ball, but. But Tua, he been looking nice. Man, efficiency is just great.
They just got to keep him upright. That's the whole thing about Miami, man. They've been talking about making an assertive effort to keep him upright, because I think as he goes, so goes the Miami Dolphins. But there's a lot of, I think the Cowboys play Miami this year, because they play the entire AFC East. But I tell you what, man, those are the kind of games when you will miss a Trayvon Diggs. So I'm hoping that. By the time we meet them, man, we would have corrected and got everything we need to do and had that strong 7-front pass rush, man.
Man,
we're going to talk about that in a second. Listen, we're talking about that. Listen, we'll be right back in a second on the replay.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's alive. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real world experience.
It's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to the replay.
Replay.
Well, look here.
I'm gonna make sure you heard me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna replay time out.
Well, look here. We want to take what I would call a cultural moment and talk about something, man, that I was listening to these past couple of days regarding this. What I would call, where's the beef? You know, back in the early 80s, remember the old lady? She was looking for a meat on the Wendy's lady, and she used to say, where's the beef? And then all of a sudden, this thing was born into when you had a difference with your brother, whatever, they beefing. So now what we have is a situation between Stephen A. Smith and Terrell Owens. Yeah. And let me give you a little backdrop for those of you all who may not be familiar with this or what's going on. A few years back, Terrell Owens was on ESPN. That's when he still had Max Keller on the show, and he made the statement on First Take, exactly. And he made the comment regarding, well, I think that Max was acting more blacker than Stephen A. Well, Stephen A. didn't like that. Right. Fast forward, he went on Joe Budden's show to talk about it, and this interview resurfaced. So, you know, Stephen A. Smith began to talk about it, and he brought up T.O.'s name and so forth. And so there was some words that was passed through social media. So long story short, Stephen A. goes on to his podcast, the Stephen A. Smith Show, and he begins to talk about T.O. and putting him out there as if he's supposed to be, you know, broke and why he doing it without saying it, but that's what he was implying, right? So, of course, T.O., he takes to going up in Smoke podcast with Stephen A. Jackson and Max Bourne's show, and he go out and air out his grievances, right? So here I am, I'm thinking to myself, you have an individual, both of them are in their 50s. Both of them in their 50s. Well, T.O. may be still in his late 40s, I guess. But you have two intelligent individuals whom I choose to believe can go in and have a sit down, because they were just at the Colorado game 2 weeks ago. You know, and Stephen A. went on there, was talking about how he was there and T.O. didn't say anything to him, but he was trying to make it seem as though, well, if he wanted to say something, he could have said something to him then, but he was saying it kind of like in a I'm a try you kind of situation. Right. Instead of just saying that's not even if y'all had words and got into it, then y'all taking away from the kids.
That's right.
You taking away from what's really, this moment is about. This is about a family reunion coming together, bringing us together, our culture together, with all those stars that come on. So I wanted to make sure, because this Sportcast podcast is not just about sports. We talk about sports talking, we talk about cultural talking, what's going on in our community, and we'll continue to do more of that. And DA, you said something, man, on the last episode. We talked about how we need to come together and learn how to de-escalate as opposed to escalating the situation. So I wanted to have a conversation about this and get y'all take on that, man, regarding this. I don't even call it a beef. I call it a bologna sandwich.
You know, man, I think it's part of the social media effect. Like if you think about it, social media has people to where at no time can I be seen as weak or almost apologetic. I can't be seen as the one who got punked. I have to always be the one who comes out on top because I know the world can see this, and that's where we are. Like in this case, it's two grown men who have to get the last word or be, you know what I'm saying? Both of these guys are like, hey, we got big egos. We're on social media, we're on TV, we're on podcasts. I can't let him punk me. Right. I can't be the bigger person because I'll be looked at as weak. That's my take on it. It's all part of the social media, our way of thinking now. It's like nobody can lose a fight on social media. You know, we gotta, I lost that fight. No, I gotta pick up a stick, and you know, that's where we are, and it's all because people have gotten to where we just it's like it's taboo to be seen as the person who allows somebody else to get over on,
right,
or do them, bad.
Right. JB, what's your take on something like this?
Well, just to piggyback off what he's saying, man, it just people are so emotional now,
right?
And then like he said, don't nobody wanna be fronted out or nothing like that.
Yes.
It's just we always been our worst critics, each other, saying we putting each other down, and bashing each other, and
it's sad.
It's sad. It's sad that two brothers on their level, and
can't just talk to each other.
Just have a healthy dialogue.
Just be man.
That's what I think Kyrie was. That what
Kyrie put on? Yeah, he did. He came on social media and said, "Why can't y'all just talk this out?"
And be man and just say, I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Or even if you wasn't wrong, hey man, look, let's just squash this.
Just squash this.
It's taking a life of its own.
You got a lot of people looking up to them, what I'm saying? They role models, man.
Yeah. You're right about this. There's a lot of people that's watching them. TJ, what you think about it?
Well, I'm thinking, about Stephen A. feeling offended. And even if you feel offended, you guys are actually, rolling right into what should be done. So you let the ego become super egos. And so both of these guys are actually getting caught up in some much ado about nothing. Right. I will say words have power. Mm-hmm. They do. Okay, so words can hurt way more than what people realize. And when you tell a black man that actually he's not a black man, that hurts, right? Yeah. But even in that, if you know who you are, you can actually dismiss that. Don't get that much power. See, it has power, but you have to give it power too, right? And so he can take away that power about actually coming together with T.O. That would diffuse it, and that would teach all the young folks coming forward, hey, even though we may have a disagreement, even though somebody may say something, that I can rise above that, and I can lift up my brother, even though my brother at this moment actually is not seeing it. And so instead of actually buying into it and keeping the beef going, to me, whether he's doing it for ratings or whatever going on, he would say he's not doing it for ratings. He would say, hey, this is going on. I don't care if the man would ever talk to me again, which is what he said, actually. I don't care if I ever talk to him again. We got to be better than that, man. Mm-hmm. We got to rise above, lift each other up instead of actually beefing, because we are an example to our young folks. Like
Absolutely.
you said, how old are they now? Close to their 50s. So in the 50s or over 50s. Yeah. I know Stephen A. is over 50, so we got to be better than that, man.
Well, something, my brother, it's like this, man. Back in the 70s, I always refer back to, when we came out of the 60s, the civil rights movement. I remember this as a young child. Most of us were in that category age where we can remember when it was always like this here. You passed by a brother, it was heads up. Mm-hmm. And they would give you that soul, the head was always because they wanted to see you advance. Yeah. And they had the Jefferson show that came on called We're Moving On Up. Right? Remember Curtis Mayfield song, We're Moving On Up, right? Mm-hmm. Coming out of the 60s. A lot of what you see is really based on tribalism, something that Europeans didn't put in us. This is just a learned behavior. Because even when I talk to some of the black nationalist brothers, man, I always tell them, remember, we are the original people, so you can't have it both ways. If we are the original people, then we had to be the pharaohs and all those people from the Kemites and the Kedar and all of those people who oppressed black folks. So when you talk about black on black crime, well, we've killed more blacks, man, in our own community than the KKK ever did. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's one of these deals where when is enough becomes enough. You understand? Because how could... You could talk about the David Livingstons of the world and the Dutch, how they came into Africa, man, and went in the inner part of Africa and all this stuff, man. But, I refuse to allow this narrative to continue as if the Europeans came and put that in us. That's just jealousy, not want to see your brother advance. That's jealousy, man. Yeah. And this spirit, I call it a spirit. Y'all talk about egos. The biggest drug to man? The biggest drug to man, it ain't crack. It ain't K2. It ain't marijuana, it ain't cocaine. The biggest drug to man is ego. Mm-hmm. Ego, the E gotta go. The E gotta go. And if you don't want the E to go, to leave, the exit, see like what we doing now? I told y'all before, man, that's the reason why God blessed me, man, to be able to see, because I'm looking for character. And I remember what the great late John Wilson once said, the great UCLA coach once said that be mindful about your character. Your character and not your I'm trying to remember, I want to get it right. Your character and not your reputation. Your reputation. Because your reputation is how they see you, but your character is who you really are, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I look for people with character, man. With character. You know, I can understand if you're in your 20s and so forth, or maybe in your young adolescence age and you're making these kind of mistakes. But these are repeated mistakes, man, that got people in the grave. You know what I'm saying? When all you have to do, man, is reach across the aisle and extend that olive branch. We need to do more of that, man. So to hear these two professionals go on with this kind of behavior when you got thousands and thousands of people who are on social millions, that's on social media, seeing this type of behavior, it behooves me. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Question for you. You said you said Europeans didn't put this in us. It goes back to tribalism. So you don't think that the effects of slavery had anything to do with how we are now?
Let me say every cause has an effect.
Yeah.
Every cause has an effect.
I don't mean slavery. I just mean some of the remnants of it.
Right. Some of the remnants. I get what you're saying.
So on and so on. I got you.
Well, see, that's when you start getting into the colorization of America, as they say. You start talking about individuals like Johann Blumenbeck, who exalted color. See, in Africa, we never exalted color. That wasn't a terminology we used. Now, you had in Hinduism, you had the caste system where they would take out these paper bags, basically, and look at you if you weren't darker than the paper. You know what I'm saying? So, this is how some people was able to get in.
Right.
Now, what they did was the wise of the world sat back and studied the dynamics. Because this was all centered around commercialism.
Right.
Everybody trying to get to the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
So they implemented that in terms of playing on it, Daryl. You know what I mean? In terms of it existed, but they just exalted it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because I always try to tell people, chattel slavery that we had here in the United States was not what they call serfdom. There was a difference between serfdom and chattel slavery.
Right.
So, you know, chattel slavery, they had you in manacles and fetters and all that stuff and yokes around your neck and all that. Serfdom is when you see the flowers in the movies and they fanning it, you know, there's a big difference. But man, we can talk about this subject and go into this all day. I wanted to be able to talk about this, bring this up, because I want to make sure that on this show that we're definitely talking about what's going on in our community, about our cultural differences that we may have, and how we exceed to get to human excellence.
I wonder if there's anybody who thinks like me now, and this is gonna be real quick. Like, I'm just getting tired of all the beef and the fighting and the just mess. I mean, it's like the whole world is just
angry,
messy. It's like and I mean messy as in mentally messy, and it's just a messy world. And I'm just like, I want off this ride.
I understand. I tell you what. I tell you what. We're gonna have to dedicate a segment to that, because I know it's a lot of layers to really exfoliate from having a conversation like that. We're gonna definitely do that, my brother. But we're gonna transition. When we come back, we're gonna get to these picks coming up in the week here on the replay.
A man looks at his tablet.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
A woman walks through a parking garage.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
A man types on a computer.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
The paper ceiling, noun, the invisible barrier that comes at every turn for workers without a bachelor's degree.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I am more than who I am on paper.
Skill through alternative routes instead of a bachelor's degree. A woman looks
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
ThePaperCeiling.org. Join us in tearing the paper ceiling.
And welcome back to the replay. So now let's get into this topic of wins and losses on the previous week regarding the picks. And yes, y'all, I gotta say it. DA got us. DA got us.
I really did.
Got us, man.
Y'all kind of got yourself.
I think
by picking everybody picking Colorado, y'all know.
Go ahead and rub it in. Right. Go ahead and rub it in. Yeah. But that's okay, because we got some great games coming up this weekend, guys. Yeah. So we're gonna get into these picks. And then we're going to get some shouts out, man. We're going to get some shouts out, JB. Okay. You with that? Y'all with that? All right, so let's get into this first game. I got to pull it up, man. I got to pull it up. I'm actually, okay, here we go. We got the first game. We got Notre Dame, number 11 ranked Notre Dame is going into Duke. Duke is ranked 17 in the country. Haven't seen a whole lot about Duke other than here and there. But this is supposed to be one of the good games, and that could be an upset. So JB, what you think, man? I'm gonna come to you with this Notre Dame and Duke thing, man.
Hey, Notre Dame, they playing good football. Duke playing good football. One thing I know about Duke, they got a great defensive coordinator, and the head coach is a defensive coach, and they playing good defense. So it's gonna be a defensive game. It's gonna be a defensive game. Notre Dame gonna be a little upset for giving up that game for Ohio, so they gonna come in ready to play. But I'm picking Notre Dame.
You like Notre Dame?
I'm gonna take Notre Dame.
We got that on the record.
I want to go with Duke.
You want to give a score on that?
I ain't gonna go with my heart. I ain't gonna go with my heart.
All right. Well, I got you, baby.
I'm going
I got
with Notre Dame.
I got you. You gonna go with Notre Dame? You want to give a score on that? What you think?
Notre Dame, I say 13. We'll say 13-10.
13-10? Boy, you be picking the low scores, don't you? What you got, TJ? What you got for me, baby?
Yeah,
what you got for me?
I got Notre Dame because Notre Dame actually has a little bit better offense than Duke does. And also, I don't think Duke defense is good as the teams that kept Notre Dame down. So I think it'll be like 27-14.
I think y'all just going with the gold and green because of the history of Newt Rockney and all that stuff.
No.
And Lucky Lou hosts and all that. I don't know. Tim Brown ain't playing right now. But anyway, but who you got?
I got Notre Dame because of how tough they played Ohio State, and I think they learned a lot from that game. So I think they'll beat Duke by 14.
They'll beat them by 14?
Yeah.
Oh man. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I will still. So y'all don't want to take chances like me. Y'all playing all conservative safe. But I'm gonna go ahead and take Notre Dame. I'm gonna go ahead and take Notre Dame because I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up with DA. We grew up. You right about that. We grew up on the same street. You know what I mean? We grew up on the same street, and so I got to take Warren Moon bragging rights back. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Notre Dame with that too. So the next game we're gonna have coming up. This might be bounce back week. Is it gonna be bounce back week? We're gonna start over here with Mr. Tim Jackson. We talking about these Colorado Buffalo. They got the USC. Your guy, Caleb Williams, is coming to town.
Yeah, it won't be but bounce back for Colorado. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So, there will not be a bounce back in this game. But I will say this: they're gonna play. They're gonna have better energy, and actually probably gonna coach a little bit better. So it's gonna look tighter for a little bit earlier in the game. So it won't be as bad early in the game. They won't be able to take off, but then they will. USC is going to take off on them. They're going to probably win the game 39-21.
39-21. What you got, JB? What you got for us?
I got USC winning this game. My boy Big Brown down there. I'm going with USC.
You going with USC?
I'm going with USC.
Okay.
I take USC. I think they'll beat them 28-14.
28-14. Mark it down. Mark it down. What you got, D?
I got USC by 17.
By 17?
Yeah.
You know you keep getting 1 point off my score, right? 1 point off each side.
I ain't even hear what you said.
Okay.
1 point off each one.
All right, he say by 17. I got by 17. Is that I mean, what score? Is that 20 to 37? What was it? Just 17 points? 17 points? Well, you know what?
We ain't gonna never.
I am going to break ranks. I'm going to break ranks. I'm going with Colorado Buffaloes, and here's my reason why. I remember in 1988, we played in the WAC championship game, nationally televised game against Wyoming, the University of Texas El Paso.
Okay.
Played with my teammate, the great Tony Tobin from the Dallas Cowboys.
All right.
And we got blowed out on national TV, 41-6 for the Western Athletic Conference Championship. And boy, we felt really low. But that next week, we galvanized ourselves.
Who would you play though?
And we played San Diego State and blew them out 58-6, or 58-7, I should say. So the more to that is, I'm gonna take Colorado in a close one because I feel like with them losing their, they got pushed out of they're unranked now. So they was in the top 25, so now they're not even ranked. So I'm gonna take Colorado. I'm gonna take them being galvanized. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close one, but I think it's going to be somewhere in the 20s. I'm going to say 25 to 22.
USC is not San Diego State, and they don't have Tony Tobin and Jabril on their team. Okay, that's all I got to say.
All right, I'm out. Well, y'all got me on. I'm going with Colorado.
That's the only way you're going to catch up.
Okay. And then so we have, let's see who else we got coming up here. We got Texas going into Kansas. Not Kansas going into Texas. So
Texas,
you like
Texas by 21.
Texas by 21. You got Texas?
I got Texas as well. It's going to be a better game because Kansas has a little bit better defense, but I got Texas.
You taking Texas?
I got Texas.
You got Texas? I'll take Texas also. So we all clear on Texas. And last but not least on the college rank, we got Michigan playing those red and white Nebraska Cornhuskers. I know you got a personal stake in this, being that former free safety for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So I'm going to start with you, sir. Will Matt Rule get it done against number 2 Michigan?
Well, let me say this. Matt Rule was trying to create a Michigan at Nebraska. So it's going to take some work because the line, especially the offensive line, is nowhere close to what the Michigan offensive line is. And that's the biggest problem. The offensive line is nowhere close. They do have some kids that are actually pretty big with good size. They need to continue to coach them up because they need to get better. But they run the ball like crazy. Now they got a quarterback not turn it over. That game is actually going to be a little bit more pleasurable for me to watch.
They benched that other guy?
Because of that. Huh?
They
benched Sims. The one who turned the ball over 20,000 times. He's not playing anymore. Well, he's backing up. He's a talented dude, though. But this other quarterback, he can run the heck out of the ball. So the game's going to be better than what people realize. But I got Michigan.
You got Michigan. Okay, who you like, JB?
I got Michigan.
You got Michigan? Boy, y'all didn't go with y'all heart on. I thought you was going to show.
I'm trying to figure out how this game even got on the slate. I guess just because Tim went there. This is Michigan by 22, at least.
Yeah.
Michigan by 22?
Yes, man.
Wow. Well, you know what?
You're talking about number 2 team in the nation. I got you.
He's going.
It's going to be closer than that.
They're going into Nebraska, but I'm in Lincoln. But I'm going to go ahead and take Michigan also.
You ain't going to catch us if you keep.
I'm going to take if I make that kind of decision. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take Nebraska also. I mean, excuse me. Let me correction. See how slick he is? You see how slick he is?
I'm just saying, you ain't going to catch us.
See, y'all almost made me say Nebraska. I'm saying it again. I'm taking Michigan. I'm taking them by 17. I'm going to take that by 7. Michigan by 17. So now let's get to the NFL. We got the Washington Commanders. Excuse me. You can tell you, man. The Washington Commanders takes on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they probably have to go to Philly. I'm not for sure. But who you like in that game, JB?
I think I really believe that it's time for Philly to have an upset. I'm going with the Redskins. I'm going with the Commanders.
Ooh, nice one.
I'm going with the Commanders.
My Ric Flair voice.
Yeah, with that quarterback play of Washington, I'm going with Philly. I just don't like the quarterback play of Washington. He had turned a lot of balls over. So no, I'm going with Philly.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna take this one before DA give his answer. Philly, why? Philly ain't played. I know they won it, but
they've been tight games every game for them.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Commanders, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with
in the basement next week.
I'm gonna be in the basement next week. Well, I'll just be
this week. You'll be by yourself next week.
Well, okay,
you're gonna be looking up at him saying,
he picked Washington too.
He picked Washington. You picked Washington?
No,
you picked Philly. You picked Philly.
Oh yeah, y'all be down there playing.
And so you gonna take Philly?
Yeah, I got Philly.
You got Philly. Okay.
Philly has already played their upset game. They just happen to pull their upset
game. We got it. We gonna go like Alabama. We're gonna ride with it. We're gonna go with the Commanders. We're gonna go to the Commanders. Okay, and then we got Miami. Miami is going into Buffalo. Can they? Was that an anomaly that we seen with Miami? Can Buffalo? I mean, what you think, DA?
Oh man, now see, this will be a good one to pick up upset, but I'm gonna ride the Miami wave. If you score 70, ain't nowhere in the world I can pick against you.
Von Miller's coming back.
Okay, and you say what, JB?
He's gonna be rusty.
Even though you jumped the gun.
Von Miller, we're down with Von Miller, but he'll be rusty.
Wait a minute, hold on. Even though he jumped the gun while you heard Buffalo. Right, he jumping the gun. I'm taking Buffalo.
Yeah. He ain't gonna get me.
But you taking Miami. You taking Miami, JB. You won't.
Buffalo. Von Miller coming back this week.
You got Buffalo.
He probably played
Miami, Buffalo.
I'm picking that upset as well. I'm picking Buffalo because Miami, they won 70-0. I mean, not 7-20.
Yeah, they'll be comfortable.
They right for this one right here.
Something?
I'm picking Buffalo.
I'm going for Buffalo too now. Because I'm gonna go for Buffalo.
I'm playing a lot of this week.
For similar reasons. I think when you score like 70 points and have historical records, man. I just think the next team.
About how good they were.
Yeah,
and now y'all going against them.
But you know how you had it high when you done something like that. Yeah. Now if they was in Miami,
if they was in Miami, they gonna score 40
because
they playing Denver though.
So I'm gonna go with Buffalo. I'm gonna go with Buffalo.
Cool.
Last but not least, we got them Patriots, New England Patriots coming to AT&T Stadium. against our Dallas Cowboys, or at least our Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna start over here with this guy over here to my right.
You know
DA, what you got for me, man?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna do this the right way.
You know they got Zeke now.
I'm gonna do it the right way, man. I'm gonna keep just picking against y'all, so I don't have to, even be trying to halfway pull for you, and then, I'm going with New England.
You going with New England?
I got New England because I think Belichick can.
That's not bad.
I think he's already mapping it out. Like, hey man, I think we can beat these boys. Y'all saw what Arizona did to them. We better than Arizona. Just stay focused, stay disciplined. We can beat them.
Okay, well, Tim, what you think, man?
Well, I think I'm about to be up next week. I think we got 2 games. And I was down 1, so I think I'm gonna be up when we finish this up now. Okay. I'm picking Dallas because the reason I'm picking them is because of even though New England been playing everybody tight, but they're lower scoring. The defense gonna have to come back and actually play much better. And that quarterback that everybody's actually against is gonna play a lot better in this game as well too. And I will tell you though, New England has a very good coach. He knows very well how to scheme, and he's actually gonna try to do the same thing and mix it up with some more stuff that the Arizona showed, but Dallas still gonna win.
What you got, JB?
Our starters coming back.
I don't know what the
offensive
report
line
is saying, but I think
I
figured we had 3 out
because with Dak, for me to pick Dak, we got to be solid because Dak gonna be Dak.
But no, they're not coming back.
Okay.
Now what? So he ain't coming back now. I want to see if he go. I want to see if he
the Cowboys.
He gonna take the Cowboys. That's a hard pick. That's only the emotional heart pick.
But I want to pick New England because they hurt me last week.
I just want to get back.
He's guilty. He's guilty.
He in his feelings.
He's guilty. Well,
that guy Book in his feelings.
Okay.
I'm gonna ride with my heart on this.
You gonna ride with? Oh man, I'm gonna tell you something though. DA. Boy, that's not a bad pick, man. I've been struggling with this one, guys. I've been really struggling with this, and I really was leaning Patriots, man. But I'm gonna take the Cowboys, man, in a close one, and I'm not happy about it, man. So I'm gonna take them in a close one. So listen up, man. We did our college picks. We done our NFL picks. Now we're gonna give our shout outs out. So we're gonna wrap this up, man. By giving our shout out, so I want to start over here. DA, who you got to shout out to, man? Anybody that you want to shout out to, man? I want to shout
out for Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff.
I want to shout out FD Todd Middle School, and I want to shout out Cedar Crest Comments.
Cedar Crest Comments, the Compton. There we go, baby. We're in the comments, baby. Two Compton Comments.
They got a brand new field too.
Who you got, TJ?
I played for the Comments too, just for a little bit. So I got a little history there as well. That's my area as well. But I'm shouting out my daughter for National Daughters Day.
Yeah, right on. Give it up for National Daughters Day. Give it up for National Daughters Day, baby.
All the dads, dad.
Spoken like a girl's dad, man.
Yeah, there you go, girl's dad. And also the Texas Rangers because they fighting for the playoff.
Right, absolutely.
Special.
You saw my notes on that, man? Okay. Wonderful. On my shouts out. You see my notes? Okay. JB, who you shouting out to, baby?
Shouting out to Texas A&M. We got a big one at the
Cowboys
Stadium.
I knew it.
Those hogs. So
I got a big one. And your nephew, man. There you go, baby.
Number 5.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Samar. We looking at you, baby. We looking at you. And you know what? I'm going to send my shout-outs, man, to the Texas Rangers. I mean, man, for them boys to galvanize and come back, man, now they're in first place, man. I mean, I'm so proud of what they was able to do. They didn't get down in years past, so they're doing their thing. And last but not least, I want to definitely shout out to my spiritual nephew, Jabbar Muhammad. Got a pick, man, in last week game, man. Beautiful pick. To the Washington Huskies. I think them boys going to have something to say, man.
Nephew.
Yeah, way to go, man. So this will conclude another episode of the Replay, where everybody deserves a second chance. Peace and love. We'll see y'all next time on the Replay.